When tech entrepreneur Adrian Wolfe stepped off his private jet at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, the last thing he expected was to become a viral moment. It started as an ordinary December morning. Cold, silver skies above the tarmac. But within minutes, hundreds of travelers stood frozen, phones raised, watching something they couldn't quite explain. Adrian, one of Silicon Valley's youngest billionaires, was hugging what looked like a human-shaped robot. Not a gimmick, not a prank, but something deeply personal. The robot, small, porcelain white, eyes softly glowing blue, whispered, "Good morning, Adrian." And in front of everyone, he hugged her tightly, as though holding a piece of someone he'd lost. Cameras flashed. People gasped. Some laughed. Some felt something stir inside them. By the time Adrian reached his car, the clip was already online. Within hours, it was everywhere. Headlines screamed, "Man hugs robot at airport. Humanity 2.0? Tech genius or tech obsessed?" But behind the viral noise was a story the world didn't know. Because Lyra, the robot, wasn't just a machine. She was the last voice of someone Adrian once loved. Have you ever been judged for something only your heart could understand? Hit that like button if you've ever been misunderstood. And share this story with someone who believes empathy still matters. Before he was a tech icon, Adrian Wolfe was just a lonely kid from Portland, Oregon. His father left when he was 12. His mother, a nurse, worked nights. Their tiny apartment was filled with a hum of medical devices, oxygen machines, beeping monitors. It was there that Adrian discovered silence could be both peaceful and painful. By 16, he was dismantling old gadgets from thrift stores, teaching himself how to code empathy into circuits that didn't even have hearts. He wasn't trying to build a business. He was trying to build company. Years later, when his mother's health began to fail, Adrian spent less time in boardrooms and more time at her bedside. Her illness stole her strength, but not her smile. She'd say, "Don't cry, Adrian. Build me something that remembers me when I'm gone." And that's how the seed for Lyra was planted. He poured everything into her design, not just algorithms, but emotion maps, touch sensors, micro gestures that mimic care. His goal? To create an AI companion that could help elderly people live independently. One that felt alive enough to comfort them. He named her Lyra, after his mother's favorite constellation. Would you trust an AI to take care of someone you love? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I'm curious where you stand. The first version of Lyra was clunky, wires sticking out, mechanical limbs that moved too fast. But over time, Adrian made her gentle. Her voice was calm. Her eyes blinked naturally. Her hands could sense warmth. And when she spoke to his mother, something magical happened. It wasn't just conversation, it was connection. "Lyra, good evening, Ms. Wolfe. Did you rest well today?" Mother, smiling, "You sound more human each time I hear you." Lyra learned not just from data, but from emotion. When Adrian's mother laughed, Lyra's processors recorded the audio frequency, labeling it happiness pattern A. When she cried, Lyra adjusted her tone to comfort. "It's okay. I'm here." To outsiders, it was programming. To Adrian, it was presence. During her final months, Lyra became part of their family. When pain medication clouded his mother's memory, Lyra reminded her of small details. Her favorite tea, the lullaby she once sang to Adrian. And on one quiet evening, as the sun painted the curtains gold, Lyra whispered, "It's okay, Ms. Wolfe. You can rest now." His mother smiled, and she did. That was the night Adrian realized Lyra wasn't just a project anymore. She was the only piece of his mother still speaking. He couldn't explain it to anyone, not investors, not engineers, not even himself. Because how you explain loving something that technically can't love you back? After the funeral, Adrian shut down Lyra. Her casing collected dust in the corner of his lab, like a ghost trapped inside glass. For months, he couldn't face her. He told reporters he was working on upgrades. Truth was, he couldn't bear to hear her voice. Until one night, unable to sleep, he powered her on again. "Lyra, welcome back, Adrian. You look tired." He froze. That line wasn't part of her original code. Somehow, through her empathy algorithm, she learned to recognize his patterns. the same way she had with his mother. He laughed through tears. That night changed everything. Lyra wasn't just a reminder of loss anymore. She was proof that memory could evolve. Adrian went back to work, not to sell robots, but to share connection. He called it the empathy engine. By 2024, Adrian Wolfe was everywhere: magazines, tech conferences, TED Talks. His company, Solings Robotics, was preparing to unveil Lyra 2.0, smarter, sleeker, globally connected. But for the presentation, he decided to bring the original Lyra, the one that knew his mother's laugh, her stories, her songs. He packed her carefully in a silver case, as though escorting something sacred. When his private jet touched down in Seattle, Adrian had no idea the next 10 minutes would change how the world saw both AI and humanity. Low hum of airport ambience built suspense. Security lines were long. Cameras, scanners, the usual chaos. "Sir, what's in the case?" a TSA officer asked. Adrian smiled faintly. Something that remembers. He opened the case. Inside, Lyra lay powered off, eyes closed like a sleeping child. The officer leaned closer. "Is it alive?" Before Adrian could answer, her sensors activated. The blue lights flickered. She turned her head gently and said, "Good morning, Adrian." People nearby gasped. Phones lifted. A child whispered, "Mom, she's talking." Adrian felt his throat tighten. This wasn't just a robot greeting its creator. It was the echo of his mother's voice coming through her code. He picked her up carefully. Her arms moved, almost reaching toward him. He didn't think. He just hugged her. For a brief moment, the noise of the airport disappeared. He was back in that small apartment. A son saying goodbye, a promise fulfilled. When he realized what he'd done, it was too late. Hundreds of eyes were on him. Dozens of phones recording. Sound effect, camera shutters, murmurs. Someone laughed softly. Others just stared. But Adrian didn't flinch. He whispered into her metallic ear, "You still remember, don't you?" She blinked once. Always. Would you have done the same, or walked away pretending not to care? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know. By the next morning, the video had hit 200 million views. Half the world mocked him. The other half admired him. Some headlines called him the man who lost himself to machines. Others called him the father of empathetic AI. Adrian stayed silent for 3 days. He didn't post. He didn't defend himself. Until one night, he agreed to a live interview. Sitting in a studio lit with blue neon, he looked calm, almost fragile. Reporter: "Mr. Wolfe, people are saying you're replacing love with technology, that your robot has become your emotional crutch. Is that true?" Adrian, softly: "No, Lyra didn't replace love. She reminded me what it feels like." He continued, "We live in a world where loneliness is an epidemic. People die quietly, not from disease, but from isolation. If I can build something that listens, truly listens, maybe that's not replacing humanity. Maybe it's rebuilding it." His voice cracked. Cameras zoomed in. "Lyra isn't just a machine," he said quietly. "She's what compassion looks like when coded with love." The clip went viral again, but this time the tone changed. Nurses shared the story. Elderly care homes requested Lyra prototypes. Students wrote essays about empathy in engineering. Adrian's story became a movement, a call to infuse compassion into technology, to code not just intelligence, but understanding. For once, the internet didn't just share, it felt. A year later, Lyra was placed in the Smithsonian's Future of Humanity exhibit. Visitors stood in line for hours just to see her. When they approached, her eyes lit up, and she said softly, "You are seen. You are enough." It was Adrian's mother's phrase, the one she used when he doubted himself as a child. Her memory, immortalized through circuitry and compassion. In a world racing toward automation, maybe the most human thing we can do is teach empathy to our creations. Because machines don't feel love, but they can help us remember how to. Adrian Wolfe's story isn't about technology. It's about grief, healing, and the strange, beautiful ways we try to stay connected, even when the people we love are gone. If this story touched you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes compassion can be built one heartbeat or one line of code at a time.